And gentlemen, let me ask you something. Do you want to live an ordinary life, or do you want to live an extraordinary one? Because I've got news for you. Extraordinary isn't reserved for the chosen few. It's available to the committed many. You don't need special DNA. You don't need a silver spoon. You need a decision. You need hunger. You need to say, enough is enough. I will not settle for mediocrity. Let me tell you where ordinary ends and extraordinary begins. It begins the moment you stop negotiating with your limitations, the moment you stop blaming your past, the moment you stop waiting for permission and start giving yourself a mission. Extraordinary is not about luck. It's not about chance. It's not about the economy or your background. It's about your standards. What you tolerate becomes your truth. What you demand becomes your destiny. You want to go from average to amazing. You've got to raise what you expect from yourself, because the truth is we don't get what we want. We get what we're committed to. The world doesn't respond to desire. It responds to decisions backed by relentless action. You want to be extraordinary, then you've got to get real with yourself. Where are you lying to yourself? Where are you playing small? Where are you waiting for someone else to save you, validate you, approve of you? That ends today, because ordinary is a trap. It's the slow death of your soul. It looks safe, but it's a cage, and the key is in your pocket. The key is a decision, a moment, a no more. I've coached athletes, billionaires, survivors, students, single moms, and CEO. And you know what separates those who change the world from those who are just surviving in it. Belief, identity, discipline, hunger. Extraordinary people don't wait for the perfect time. They create it. They don't avoid pain, they use it. They don't fear failure. They extract lessons from it. They don't wish for better. They become better. Let me be clear, the extraordinary life is not always easy, but it's meaningful. It's rich, it's real, it's fulfilling. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's not about comparison. It's about mastery. Mastery of self, mastery of thought, mastery of habits. And if you think you've got to make some massive leap overnight, wrong. Extraordinary is built daily, not in a day. It's in the small things, waking up earlier, reading when others scroll, showing up when others sleep, saying no when it's easier to say yes, choosing growth over comfort, speaking truth over silence, acting despite fear. The moment you do that, you start building momentum, and momentum is magic. When you align your energy, your habits, and your vision, you become unstoppable. Let me tell you something powerful. Your life right now is a reflection of your rituals. Change your rituals and you change your results. Change your identity and you change your destiny. So, what do you believe about yourself? Because you will never outperform your belief. If you believe you're average, you'll live average. But if you believe that you were born to rise, to build, to serve, to create, to lead, then you start stepping into that version of yourself. And if you don't believe it yet, that's okay. Borrow mine. I believe in you. I've seen what humans can do when they stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I fly? You're not here to survive. You're here to soar. You're not here to blend in. You're here to break through. You're not here to live someone else's script. You're here to write your own story. Bold, raw, real, unstoppable. But it starts with you. It starts today, not tomorrow, not next week, right now. You don't need permission to be great. You just need to decide that you will never again settle for less than who you're capable of becoming. So raise your standards. Upgrade your mindset. Align your habits. Build your tribe. Feed your soul. And live your life like it matters, because it does. Ordinary is over. Now go be extraordinary. Extraordinary is not a gift. It's a decision. The truth is, you were not born extraordinary. No one was. But somewhere along the line, we were sold a lie that some people just have it and others don't. That some people are born destined to succeed while others are stuck in mediocrity. That success is reserved for the talented, the connected, the lucky few. That is the biggest lie keeping people small, because the extraordinary life isn't a birthright. It's a byproduct of relentless commitment. A choice you make every single day. You want to know what separates someone who transforms their life from someone who talks about it for the next 10 years. One word: Decision, not a wish, not a hope. A decision, the kind that leaves no room for plan B, the kind that sets your soul on fire and says, I'm burning the boats, there's no going back. And here's the kicker, most people never make that kind of decision. They dabble, they try, they test the waters, but they don't commit. And if you don't commit, you never activate your power, you stay in limbo, you live in the land of maybe, someday, and I'll get to it. But the extraordinary life doesn't respond to hesitation. It responds to boldness, certainty, ruthless follow-through. I've seen people in wheelchairs who live extraordinary lives. I've seen people come from poverty, addiction, abuse, and rise to greatness. And I've seen people with every advantage in the world squander it because they never decided to demand more of themselves. That's the secret. You become extraordinary the moment you draw a line in the sand and say, this is who I was, but that version of me is over. This is who I now choose to become. That decision is your power. Extraordinary doesn't come with ease. It comes with ownership. The moment you take radical responsibility for your life, your results, your relationships, your thoughts, your energy, everything changes. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. And that strength only comes from making the decision to grow, no matter what. Every giant leap in your life began with one decision. Think about it. The job you dared to go for, the love you finally let in, the addiction you walked away from, the business you launched. None of that started with luck. It started with a decision that said, I'm done living less than I'm capable of. People think being extraordinary is about being different. It's not. It's about being deliberate. It's about choosing growth over comfort, courage over fear, progress over perfection, and it's in that moment, when you choose to rise even when it's hard, that you start to separate yourself from the crowd. So stop waiting for the right time, the right tools, the right team. Decide you're done settling. Decide your vision matters. Decide to show up when it's hard. Decide to be the one who doesn't quit. That's the beginning of the extraordinary life, not tomorrow. Not next week. The moment you decide, identity shapes destiny. Who you believe you are dictates how you behave. It's not your environment, your education, or even your potential that determines your outcome. It's your identity, what you believe to be true about yourself. You want to transform your results. Start by upgrading your identity. Because here's the reality. Your life will never rise above the image you hold of yourself. If you see yourself as average, you'll act in alignment with that belief. If you see yourself as powerful, capable, worthy, you'll show up completely differently, not because the world changed, but because you did. Identity isn't static. It's not carved in stone. It's a story. And you're the one writing it, but most people don't even realize they're running on an outdated script. A script that says, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not that kind of person. And the tragedy is that we live out those stories like they're facts. We defend them, we rehearse them, we make them our prison, but here's what's powerful. The moment you rewrite your identity, everything else falls in place. You don't have to force discipline when you are someone who's disciplined. You don't have to try to be confident when you are someone who sees yourself as confident. Behavior flows from belief. Let's break this down. Imagine two people trying to quit smoking. One says, I'm trying to quit. The other says, I'm not a smoker. Who do you think has a higher chance of success? It's not about willpower, it's about identity. When you see yourself differently, your actions follow automatically. You want to become extraordinary. Start telling yourself a different story. Start conditioning a new identity. I'm the kind of person who shows up. I'm the kind of person who keeps promises to myself. I'm the kind of person who does hard things. And don't just say it, stack evidence for it. Every time you show up, you reinforce it. Every time you act in alignment with that identity, you strengthen it. This isn't fake it till you make it. It's believe it till you become it. That's why environment matters. You can't grow into a new identity in the same environment that reinforced the old one. Surround yourself with people who reflect your future, not your past. Upgrade your inputs, upgrade your language, upgrade your rituals, and your identity will upgrade itself. The ordinary cling to their old identity because it's safe. The extraordinary are willing to let it die so something greater can be born. And that death, that's where your destiny begins. Small habits create massive transformation. Everyone wants the result. Everyone wants the body, the bank account, the business, the peace, the impact. But very few want to build the habits that get them there. Why? Because habits are boring, they're unsexy. They don't give you instant gratification, but they hold the secret to an extraordinary life. Think about this. Success isn't built in big moments. It's built in the small ones you repeat every day. It's what you do when no one's watching, when the alarm goes off, when the junk food calls your name, when the voice says skip today, and you show up anyway. That's where transformation lives. If your life isn't changing, it's not because you're broken. It's because your rituals haven't changed, and the good news? You can change your rituals today. You don't need a life overhaul. You need micro shifts with massive consistency. Read 10 pages a day. That's 650 pages a year over a dozen books. Do 20 push-ups a day. That's 300 push-ups in a year. Track your spending. Speak kind words to yourself. Make that one extra call. It all adds up. But here's where most people fail. They look for intensity over consistency. They do something extreme for a week, then burn out. The extraordinary build systems. They don't rely on willpower. They rely on structure. They automate discipline. They make their environment work for them, not against them. And the most powerful habit of all, keeping promises to yourself, that is the foundation. When you do what you say you're going to do, especially when no one's watching, you build trust with yourself, and that trust becomes unshakable confidence. Want to know if someone's going to be successful? Look at their daily standards. Look at how they treat their mornings. Look at what they prioritize, because the future isn't a mystery. It's a reflection of your habits. You want to go from ordinary to extraordinary, master the mundane, fall in love with repetition, obsess over the small wins, because greatness isn't about doing one big thing once. It's about doing the right things over and over and over, until they compound into a life you don't need to escape from. Your environment either fuels or drains your greatness. You've probably heard the quote, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." But let's take that deeper. You're not just influenced by your people. You're shaped by your space, your surroundings, your digital diet, your emotional climate. Your environment is either an amplifier or a suppressor. It's either pulling greatness out of you or slowly suffocating it. And the problem, most people don't even know they're stuck in toxic environments. They've normalized dysfunction. They've normalized negativity. They've accepted low energy as their baseline. You can't rise in a space that keeps pulling you down. You can't think big in an environment that punishes ambition. You can't speak truth in a room built on silence. So if you want to level up, you've got to clean house, audit your circle, audit your habits, audit your home. Who do you spend time with? What conversations do you allow? What energy are you tolerating? The extraordinary are ruthless about who and what they let in their life, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. They understand that environment is destiny, that proximity is power. Want to go further, faster. Get around people who challenge you, who stretch you, who won't let you stay small, who see your potential and call you into it every single day, and don't stop there. Build an internal environment that matches your external one. What's the soundtrack in your mind? Are your thoughts lifting you or limiting you? Because you can live in a palace and still be imprisoned by your inner dialogue. Create rituals that protect your energy. Set boundaries that preserve your focus. Design your space for success. Fill your walls, your screens, your ears, your eyes with reminders of who you're becoming, because you can be the most talented person in the world. But if your environment is built for mediocrity, you will shrink to fit it. Change your environment, and you change your experience. Extraordinary results come from extraordinary standards. Your life right now is a reflection of what you've been willing to tolerate. That's the brutal truth. And the good news is standards can be raised, starting now. The ordinary live by default. They accept what is, they conform, they coast. The extraordinary live by design. They decide what's acceptable. They set the bar higher, not just for others, but for themselves. And here's the magic. When you raise your standards, you automatically raise your results. You stop settling. You stop saying it's fine. You stop giving average effort. You show up like it matters because it does. Look at any extraordinary performer, leader, artist, athlete. They all have one thing in common, an obsession with standards. They don't rise to the occasion. They rise to the level of their preparation. And that preparation is built on standards. You want better health, raise your standards. You want deeper love, raise your standards. You want more impact, raise your standards, not just once, daily. Raise the standard for how you speak, how you think, how you treat people, how you treat yourself. Because when you raise your standards, you start to repel anything that doesn't match them. Your time gets more protected. Your relationships get more intentional. Your energy gets more focused. You don't need to chase as much, because what you allow begins to align. But here's the catch. Raising your standards isn't just about demanding more. It's about becoming more. It's about embodying the version of you who already lives that standard. It's not about perfection. It's about integrity. And yes, it will be uncomfortable. Growth always is. But discomfort is the cost of greatness, and the reward, a life that reflects your highest potential. So don't ask, what do I want? Ask, what will I no longer tolerate? That's where the shift begins. Your new life is going to cost you your old one. Your average life will fight for survival, but if you raise your standards and hold the line, you won't just change what you do, you'll change who you are. That's the gateway from ordinary to extraordinary. That's how legacies are built.